It's finally here, guys, the most delicious chicken biryani recipe that so many of you have been waiting for. So to begin with, we need to make the biryani masala, and to do that I've just chopped some onions in the food processor and I'm frying them off in some ghee. Once your onions have softened, you want to go in with a full bulb of chopped garlic, followed by 1 tablespoon of ginger paste, and then you just want to give that a good mix and just make sure that you saute the onions, garlic and ginger. Add your chopped tomatoes to a food processor, followed by the live yogurt or full fat yogurt, whatever you're using. And once this is processed and nice and smooth, you want to wait until your onions have got a bit of colour on them and add that tomato paste with the yogurt. Next, add the finely chopped chillies. I've used about 12 to 15 chillies roughly. They're all sort of varying sizes, but depending on how hot you want it, you add more or less chillies. I'll make a list of the sort of spice levels in the description so that you can decide how hot you want your masala to be. Once you've cooked that out for a while, you want to then add your spice. I've added salt, red chilli powder, turmeric, coriander powder and cumin powder, and then you just want to give that a good mix. The key to the perfect biryani is having the perfect masala. You need to cook this masala on a medium heat, keep stirring it, you've got to stand over it and make sure you're putting a labour of love into this. If it starts to catch at the bottom of the pot, you just want to add a little bit of water to make sure that it don't burn. Cook the masala out for around about 40 minutes or until the fat from the ghee starts to sort of surface and you can see like pockets of oil forming on top of the actual masala itself. So you can just see it here, it's bubbling away and you can see that the onions are cooked down really nicely. Now I always say that when your masala starts to look like mince or like keema, that's when you know it's ready and it's really, really tasty. At this point, you want to add your chicken to the masala. I've used a mixture of on the bone and boneless chicken. You want to make sure every single piece of that chicken is coated in that masala and give it a good mix before you add water to this. You'll need to add about 400 millilitres of water, not too much, because the chicken itself will release its own sort of juices and you don't want to overcook the chicken. Give everything a good mix so that masala has combined with the water and the chicken's fully coated, and then you want to bring it to the boil. Once you've got it at a boiling point, you want to cover the chicken, turn it down on a low simmer and let it cook. Next, you want to peel and chop into large chunks about 1 kilo of white potatoes, and then you want to deep fry them until they're nice and golden and crispy. Once the potatoes have cooked through, you want to drain the excess oil, remove them onto a plate that's lined with kitchen paper. Once your chicken's sort of cooked through, you want to remove the lid and then turn the heat up so that you can dry out some of that masala. Your chicken wants to be cooked through, but you don't want it to be too watery. At the stage that it's got just enough water in for the potatoes to absorb it, you add all of those fried potatoes into the masala and then give it a really good stir to ensure that they soak up all that flavoursome goodness. Bring your chicken and potato mixture to the boil and then you want to garnish it with some chopped coriander before stirring it through. Now remove your chicken mixture from the heat and set it aside whilst you make the rice. Before you start working on the rice, you want to get all the garnish and everything that you're going to decorate the biryani with out of the way. So thinly slice 1 medium-sized onion and fry it until all the onions are golden brown. You want them nice and crispy, not overcooked. Once they're done, set them aside. Next, you want to add a pinch of saffron to about 3 or 4 tablespoons of water, ideally boiling water if you can, and then just give it a little whirl so that the saffron releases its colour. Now we need to flavour the water that we're going to cook the rice in, and we flavour it with what we call Sabut Garam Masala. So this is a tablespoon each of cumin seeds, black peppercorns, cloves and 1 cinnamon stick. To avoid the inevitability of anybody biting on a whole spice, I actually use a tea infuser to infuse the water and then I can remove it afterwards. Now you want to measure out 4 cups of rice and give it a really good wash under cold water until the water runs clear. Now we need to boil the rice. So you want to add cold water to a large enough cooking pot, add the tea infuser with the whole spices in it, followed by 3 teaspoons of salt to flavour the rice. You want to bring the water to a boil, and to do that, pop the lid on, it's just a lot quicker. Once your water's come to a boil, you want to add the rice that you've just soaked. Ensure that you give it at least 20 minutes to soak before adding it to the water. Once your rice grains have expanded in the water and they kind of look cooked, you want to take 1 or 2 grains of rice and just squash them between your finger and your thumb. Now what you're trying to look for is cooked rice with a little bit of a bite, and that bite will indicate that the rice is ready to be drained. Now drain your rice and put the same pot back on the hob, but before you do, place a tawa underneath it. This is going to help provide indirect steam and heat to the rice. So this is the best part of the biryani, layering it. So you have 1 layer of rice at the bottom, quite a thin one, and then you want to go in with the biryani masala. So that's the chicken and potato mixture that we made earlier. You want to be generous with that masala. You want to infuse every grain of rice with that. Then you want to go in with another layer of rice and then another layer of the biryani masala. Keep repeating this until you've got 3 layers of rice and 2 layers of the biryani masala. Your final and top layer should always be rice, and then you want to go in with all the garnish. So I've added a couple of slices of lemon. This adds a really beautiful flavour and aroma, and then I've just topped it with the saffron that we infused in water earlier. To give it that distinct biryani look, it has to have some food colouring. So I've gone in with a little bit of orange food colouring that I just dissolved in some water, and then I'm topping it with 2 tablespoons of fresh coriander before garnishing finally with those crunchy, crispy fried onions that we made earlier. Now you need to cover the biryani pot with aluminium foil. Make sure that you cover every side of the pot, there's no gaps, and you want to tightly seal it around the edges. Once you've sealed it, you want to pop the lid for the pot back on, and then if there's any steam holes in your pot lid like I've got in mine, you just want to plug that with some foil and put a weight down on the lid so that all of the steam is trapped inside the pot. You let the biryani cook on a very low heat for around about 30 minutes. So you've got the tawa under the biryani pot, and this is steaming the rice and the chicken and infusing those flavours together. This process is called dum. After 30 minutes are up, you remove the foil, remove the lids, and reveal your beautifully delicious biryani and mix up those layers, because that's what it's all about. You've really just got to get stuck in there, because look at that. Doesn't it look absolutely delicious? It's mouth-watering. Imagine how good it tastes if this is how good it looks. Serve your biryani with homemade raita, salad, and make sure you tuck in with your hands. Finger-licking goodness. If you've enjoyed this recipe, guys, don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of it and what other recipes you'd like to see throughout Ramadan and Eid.